Clive Barker podcast audio commentaries.
Thanks to your generous donations to our Kickstarter funding campaign, Clive Barker Podcast presents Fundraiser 3.
Hell on Earth.
All right, hey, welcome to this new commentary track that was part of our Kickstarter 3, Hell on Earth, and it's going to be Lord of Illusions. So for all those out there who have this movie, please make sure you're watching the director's cut, which is 11 minutes longer than the theatrical cut. So if you're watching this on Netflix or one of those streaming services, it's 11 minutes shorter than the one we're watching. So we're watching the 2 hours and 1 minute, and you know, as usual, it's me, Ryan, and Rob.
Hello, guys.
So you guys are you guys ready for this?
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
So I'm watching a DVD version of it. I think it's the Region 1 DVD. And it starts with the United Artists logo.
Okay, let me hit play and see where I'm watching the Shout Factory Blu-ray.
Okay.
So we'll
I had
see.
my pulse at the...
So there's an eyeball with a tie.
Yeah, that's where I'm
this
at.
started Metro Goodwin Mayer first, I guess. Maybe.
Okay.
United.
Mine has a United Artists logo with all
that's
the
probably
sparkly
next.
stuff. Okay.
Yeah.
So I'm just figuring out where should we start. I suggest we should start this where it says United Artists Pictures Presents, which is already part of the movie.
Okay. Yeah, so there's United Artists and MGM Company, and then probably United Artists Pictures Presents after. Yeah, let's do that.
Okay.
I've got it paused right on that that title card.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, Rob, do you want to do a countdown?
Yeah, sure. All right, let's go. 3, 2, 1. Unpause.
Yay.
Yeah.
Okay. Excellent.
Did you guys see this in the theater when it came out?
Yeah, I saw it 4 times.
That's probably the first time we've ever seen Seraphim in the credits of something, right?
Yeah.
I've seen it in a theater as well, but it wasn't when it came out. It was in a movie festival.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I saw it when it came out probably 3 times, and it was by myself because I was in Fairbanks going to college, and Jennifer was in Washington.
Oh. This title card, I think I remember Clive mentioning on the commentary track that this was a later addition to it.
Right, yeah, something the producers wanted, I think, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, Mojave Desert.
Yeah.
I've driven through it many times, so
No, not me.
Oh, yeah.
pretty familiar with the Joshua trees and stuff.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
It's in such an interesting turn. I think the first time around watching this, I was trying to wrap my head around why it wasn't The Last Illusion, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Because it's so different from The Last Illusion short story.
Right. Hey, Vincent Schiavelli, he plays Vinovich.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, right.
I'm sorry, Rob, I interrupted you. Go ahead.
I'm noticing those the shot of the nails on the table. I thought of Pinhead there for a minute.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Rest in peace, Daniel von Bargen.
Yeah.
Yes, definitely.
Lots of
Yeah.
shots of garbage.
Yes.
I remember reading the Fangoria, one of the Fangoria issues that Clive Barker approached Charles S. Dutton to play from Alien 3.
Oh,
Play Nix.
okay.
Oh,
That would have been different, yeah.
yeah.
You're the music by Simon Boswell, beautiful. I have the CD. It's
Me too.
amazing. Sometimes I even
there's a
think it's a
2-disc.
little...
There's a 2-disc version of it also.
Yes, it came out by Entrada Records, I think.
Yeah. I
Not
had
too
both
long
of
ago,
those.
a few years.
Yeah. Yeah, the music is great, and actually,
Yeah,
the
That's a
creepiness of this movie is amazing.
Hmm.
And it's interesting that Daniel von Bargen was a strange choice because he just looks like an average guy.
Right.
But I think which is the point of the movie that anybody could be duped by these
Kind of a Jim
cult
Jones
leaders and
kind of
stuff.
thing.
Yeah, exactly.
That's an excellent analogy. We just missed the production designer credit there with Stephen Hardy, who did production design for this. I think he was present when we saw that L.A. screening of the Nightbreed movie. He was also involved in Nightbreed.
Oh, okay. Yeah, there's not a whole lot of crossover in cast and crew on Lord of Illusions versus the movies that were made in the UK.
Right. So there's Butterfield, a young Butterfield.
Yeah.
This actor he was in the movie, just as a side note, Return of the Living Dead 3.
Oh, really? The one,
Nice.
the Romeo and Juliet one?
Yeah, he played the Romeo.
Oh, wow.
Here's Nix.
Yeah.
Juggling fire. That's awesome. You remember there was a video that was making the rounds not too long ago about how to do the trick of juggling fireballs. So they mentioned you should have like just make a ball out of a piece of cloth, then saturate it with lighter fluid, and then you'd have to pick it up on the blue part of the flame at the bottom, and you couldn't let it touch your hand too long, but you could do that because, the lighter fluid in the blue part of the flame it's hot, but it's not too hot. The really hot part is the yellow one.
I saw somebody doing that at a farmer's market
Oh, cool.
couple of months ago.
Uh-huh. By the way, kids, don't try that at home.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because this is CGI in the movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just amazing the way he does that, and the shadows kind of rotate from one side to the other. It's just beautiful. What do you guys think about Swann's character?
Well,
How does he come off?
He's so human compared to the Swann character in the short story. I mean, he's so he's nervous and afraid.
Yeah. I was going to say that for me, Swann always looks like he's on the verge of tears.
Yeah, he does.
It's like even after they take care of Nix in this opening sequence, and he's still living in his big mansion, he still looks pretty depressed and like really not happy with his life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And also, there's something sort of glossed over here about his relationship with Dorothea. I mean, at what point did he rescues this like 12-year-old girl? At what point does that turn into a relationship?
I don't think it ever turns into a relationship. I think
she just, stayed with him because out of, gratitude.
right.
Well, they got married,
I think so.
though.
Well, sure, but there's also like an idea that Swann might have more of a relationship with Nix than he had with Dorothea.
Oh yeah. Wow.
In the movie Men, Makeup, and Monsters, I found out that the mandrill, this is a mandrill, right?
Yeah,
Yes.
right. Which is like a baboon.
Yeah, that this was work done by Gary Tunnicliffe.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he had some parts where it's a fake. It says here in this book on the chapter Raising Hell on page 180, for Lord of Illusions, Image Animations LA chief Gary Tunnicliffe oversaw the creation of a voracious mandrill monkey. So I'm not sure if it's still here, like the prosthetic monkey, or if they just kept the real monkey. But
I had no idea. I thought it was real the whole time.
Mm-hmm.
Huh. Well, it obviously was some of the time, at least.
Yeah. Also, this movie, Lord of Illusions, united the talents of several makeup effects shops. Image Animation, Alterian, Steve Johnson, and K&B.
That's cool.
Yep.
That's a great group of guys to have work on.
I know, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, he looks like he's going to crap his pants.
He does. His legs are shaking.
Yeah.
When they were coming out of the Volkswagen van, they looked like the Mod Squad.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think maybe it amplifies the scariness of the movie if, the hero is terrified the whole time.
Mm-hmm.
And this is really creepy and weird. I mean, who else would have thought of something like this?
Am I crazy, or they did this movie almost simultaneously with Hellraiser Bloodline?
Yeah,
I think it was around the same time.
That's right. Yep.
And Candyman too, I believe.
Right, right.
Yeah.
I remember for Clive Barker fans, it was awesome to be reading Fangoria in that year because they were carrying articles for all 3 movies.
Oh yeah.
They were.
They even had like a 3-issue feature about Lord of Illusions on Fangoria.
That's
So I
interesting.
love the
Bodies piled up on that.
on the wall.
What do you like?
Oh man, that hurt. That looks like it
Talk about
hurts
the
so
wall.
much. What was that, Rob? Sorry.
What do y'all think of especially seeing it on the Blu-ray? Getting to see all the detail on these drawings on the wall.
Oh yeah, it's amazing. I'm wondering how much of it Clive Barker painted too. So far, I'm not seeing anything that looks like obviously Clive Barker. Maybe
Some of the
way in
writing
back
seems
there
like
behind Pym, I think.
Yeah. Some of the letters, the handwriting, kind of seems like it was Clive Barker's handwriting, but I'm not sure.
Yeah.
You have a little lizard there in the back of the wall. Almost looks like the engineer creature from Hellraiser.
There's sort of this recurring Clive Barker theme that I think comes back a lot, where the bad guys represent like atheism and nothingness, and when you die, you just go to nothing, and the good guys are sort of fighting for magic and light and hope.
But isn't it strange that magic still exists, even though an afterlife may not exist?
It is, yeah, it's strange. But Mamulian was that way too, and
I thought of that villain from
and going through a Magica, I'm almost to the end now, and Sartori, the autarch Sartori is that way.
From a Magica.
Yeah. He just wants to die, take Jude with him into death. And
I can hear the noise from the movie from one of you guys.
oh, mine might be too loud.
really, these are really creepy effects. I really think they.
Yeah.
You don't really. Those are kind of original kind of effects. I've never seen that happen. And the visual at least. They're basically showing like what humans look like from a
god's perspective.
Yeah. In the commentary track, Clive says that this was CGI and it took a long time to make. I'm guessing it was probably a mixture of practical and CGI.
Yeah, I think so. I think CGI human shells around the people, the faces splitting off, and then it's probably a practical thing underneath.
What really surprises me in this sequence here is that Nyx seems to be so powerful, but at the same time, his death is so easy,
Yeah.
Yeah.
That kind of clashes a little bit in this scene.
He didn't. Well, I don't. It seems like he didn't really expect anybody to actually shoot him.
I've always been curious why his cultists never showed up to help. And
I know they're a bunch of cowards.
Where's the bamboo?
That's a good point. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I was gonna bring that up next. I was like, what? They kill him, but it's pretty quick and pretty easy for someone who's so powerful that he's like meditating in that weird cross floating thing, and it's like then it's okay. Well, we just shot him, and that's it.
Yeah, and Swann is like an old member of the cult, so maybe they want to. Maybe the cultists. I don't know why they wouldn't help him.
We just want to move the story forward here in the opening, so I'll forgive him for that. But here we're starting to see some parts that were cut for the theatrical, like these moments where the screws are going into the flesh. The MPAA had Clive cut some of these. Yeah.
Which is crazy. I mean, think of what they do in rated R movies now.
Yeah. This movie's tame compared to what they do now.
Yeah, things have changed in 20 years.
Yeah.
Plus, this had like a fantasy element to it as well, and really, not.
The way Clive Barker does magic is so different from other things that we've seen too. I mean, the idea of these bindings and masks and stuff.
I think that the cultists probably didn't do anything because I see them as because they're in a cult. Okay, so for starters, they have to be people with not a lot of willpower. Okay, so. Yeah. And also, I guess they might have thought that he would just take care of the trespassers himself because they believed he's super powerful. But then when they find out that he's defeated, I guess they just kind of peter out in terms of like their
Yeah.
their belief, and it's a devastating thing to have your belief taken away from you.
Yeah.
That's a good way to look at it.
Mhm.
I like that, the way you.
I kind of wonder if
Especially your part, you describe him as like how the people are kind of weak
Mhm.
without, they expect him to, come out this situation victorious.
well, and,
Right.
and also you kind of wonder if don't they think coming back that Nix might be a little mad at them for not helping him or not doing anything?
Right.
But they're just
And
like,
he was-
"Yay, Nix is back," and it never even occurs to them at all.
Hey, Butterfield, your cult leader has just been killed. What are you going to do? I'm going to Las Vegas.
Yeah.
It's weird that he's got black hair, but he's got white eyebrows.
Yeah.
I know. I always thought that was creepy.
And 2 different colored eyes.
So here you are in New York, 1995, Brooklyn.
Well, this picks up kind of technically after Harry's defeated the demon from Everbull, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Is that how it follows? Kind of in the
Oh gosh. Yeah, Everville was 94 and this is 95.
this story right here is like
Yeah.
when it's talking about the boy.
Right.
Exorcism drama in Wickham Street,
Yeah.
where Father Hess ended up dead in the stairs.
Oh,
It's a great story arc, I think, for Harry the Moor. That starts with the short story Lost Souls that takes place in New Year's Eve, Christmas Eve, actually, with the demon Chat Chat. Have you guys read that one?
Oh yeah.
yeah.
That's a good one. And then it concludes so far in the Scarlet Gospels.
I wish he would have gotten his mentor in this. I want to get her name wrong. What's her name?
Oh, Norma Payne.
Yeah, Norma Payne.
Yeah.
Who
Yeah,
got her in
she's
here
a
somehow?
recurring character, and I would love to see Scott Bakula come back in Scarlet Gospels movie.
Me too.
Or just there was plans to do a TV show of that. And I think he could have
Yeah.
worked. That.
Yeah, TV show, a prequel, a sequel, all kinds of stuff. Yeah, nothing ever stuck. I don't know why.
That's too bad.
Yeah.
Nowadays, movies are just investments for like big shot producers, so they don't really care about any author's vision anymore. It's all about how much money is this going to make, and
Right.
how many millions am I going to turn my millions into?
That's why Occupy Midian worked, is because it was all about look how many people would buy this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not about we want to right a wrong or correct an error from the past.
Absolutely.
I'm curious. I wonder if the Occupy Midian movement actually helped to get this out on Blu-ray too.
I think so.
In a way.
I mean, since Shout Factory already had a relationship with Clive Barker, I think this was why not?
I love
Of course,
this,
they can't get Hellraiser
Crazy
because Hellraiser's there's so many other companies doing that. Maybe they could. Maybe they could do the Scarlet Box.
We just saw in that flashback with the demon and the kid. That was Rob Humphreys as the demon.
Yeah,
Rob Humphreys used to be the president of Seraphin, or the vice president of Seraphin, before Mark Miller.
Yep. Yeah, I've met him.
So L.A., beautiful, sunny L.A. And
I'd like to go out there.
probably one of those canyons where Clive Barker lives right there.
Yeah,
Oh,
probably.
yeah.
Scott Bakula here, I got to say, he was in his prime. He's so far, Scott Bakula had been in a bunch of things, and I think at this point his most famous show was Quantum Leap.
Yeah, and then later he was in Star Trek Enterprise. He's more of a TV actor, I guess. But I thought he was great in Lord of Illusions.
He was also in a short-lived TV show called Man of a Certain Age with Ray Romano.
Oh,
That was actually pretty good.
I saw one episode of that.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I've never heard of that.
In the commentary track, Clive reveals that these three people here, Tappert and the two prostitutes, were actually three gay actors, and they were having a really fun time actually drinking real champagne.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Yeah.
It's Tappert.
Looks like a big Elvis lover.
Insurance fraud.
Yeah.
Clive Barker actually said that by and large, on the first test screening, that the people didn't really like the explicitness of the sex, and he was very surprised about that.
Huh. Did they make changes to it?
Well, he cut the scene out of Harry and Dorothea having sex, but there was nothing explicit about that.
I didn't think that was cut out. I thought it was the same.
He said the sex was pulled back, but the violence was not.
Huh.
I think Clive was a little inspired by the Manson, Charles Manson, David Koresh kind of thing in terms of the cultist stuff and the notion of cults. Yeah. I think in America that's also very, it speaks a lot to people because, I mean, gosh, think of all the weird cults that have gone terribly wrong in America and around the world, you know, but Waco, for example, in Texas. Now, I got to ask, who goes for a card reading at like 10 p.m. or something?
Yeah.
Or 1 in the morning or whatever? That's really weird.
Yeah.
There are some things in this story that I think could have been a little better, but overall, this is, I think, Clive's best, most accomplished movie.
It's his best directed film, I think.
Yeah.
In a sense, just how he visually tells the story, and especially the scene at the was it Pantages?
Oh,
yeah, the Pantages Theater. Yes.
Yeah, that's such a great scene.
Actually, now that I said that, I'm wondering if his most accomplished movie, apart from Hellraiser, might be Nightbreed. I mean, people probably know more Nightbreed and Hellraiser than Lord of Illusions.
Yeah, that's true.
Is that accurate?
Yeah, and I think that nobody ever says anything bad about Hellraiser, really. I mean,
right.
But there are people that don't like Lord of Illusions.
Let me go. I should say he continued to grow as a director with each picture.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe that's a better way to say it, not say, this is his best directed film, because they're all good.
So for a long time, I didn't know the name of this actor with the sharpened teeth and the big weird tattoo. Yeah. But he was played by Jordan Martyr, and his character's name was Ray Miller.
Oh, wow.
Boom.
Yeah, when he just jumped on Harry,
that
it just scared the crap out of me. I don't know why. I've seen this like 100 times.
He's like a wild banshee, man. He's just nuts. Oh, piss and vinegar. Here's Butterfield, played by who's playing him now? That actor from American Beauty for one scene.
Okay.
He plays with Kevin Spacey. He wants to leave his job, and he kind of frames him to like give him a year's.
I only saw one episode of that show.
No, this is the movie with Kevin Spacey, American Beauty.
Oh, I thought you said American Horror Story for some reason. Oh, okay. I didn't realize he was in that movie.
Yeah, it's a very small role.
This is crazy. Instead of just kicking the door in, he disintegrates the area around the door.
Yeah, I know.
When I saw this movie, I didn't know if this guy was supposed to be human or some sort of summoned demon or something, because he had that weird big symbol in his forehead.
I think he is some kind of summoned demon, but it gets deliberately vague. And the same thing happened to Sartori in Imagica. He got thrown out of the window, and he grabbed at the curtains and stuff.
Defenestrated.
Yeah. And then
in Portuguese
disappears.
In Portuguese monarchy history, there was one guy who was defenestrated. That's how I learned the word in school.
Oh, really? That means thrown out of a window?
Yep. That's So here, I think this character. Do you guys remember the name of this character?
Pym.
Quaid.
Okay, yeah.
Pym is the guy
Quaid.
with the
Caspar Quaid. Okay, yeah, he was played by Joseph Lattimore, and I think here he's not afraid to die because he knows that something terrible is coming. So he's like, "Well, I'm out of here."
Yeah.
And I like here again. I'm working on. It might take some time to get it up, but I'm working on a feature for like why I love Harry DeBourne. This is one of the reasons why I like him is, he actually wants to help this guy, and he doesn't like to lose people.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. There's also a nice parallel here with the tarot card of the Ten of Swords, and this guy, and then the death of Philip Swann.
Right.
Further down the movie, yeah, like. Oh, he's gone.
So I didn't see his soul leave his body, did you?
No. Yeah, there's also, depending on which edition you're watching, there's also a nice making of featurette that talks about behind the Lord of Illusions. So that's, I do recommend that one because it's full of like nice stuff. And you're going to see a little person here who's going to be the photographer. Yeah. Just another night in Los Angeles. Yeah, Clive Barker said that this movie is kind of a genre-breaking movie. It moved from film noir to horror and back and forth.
Yeah.
But then MGM really wanted to edit the movie themselves, and they said that we're going to take this stuff out. Either you do it or we do it. So that's when Clive decided that for theatrical he took out 11 minutes, but for his director's cut, he had a contractual final cut. Thank goodness for that.
And that sort of became a trend, I think, after Lord of Illusions, that you started seeing that a lot, where a movie was different after when it hit the home video or DVD.
Yeah.
There started being like, okay, yeah, that's the regular version, but you can watch the director's cut if you go rent it at Blockbuster or whatever.
Yeah, I have a theatrical version of this movie on tape.
Oh wow!
Yeah, you couldn't. I never had.
Yeah, that wasn't easy to find.
Yeah, they didn't release it on video as much as the director's cut because I was I like this scene. I like the way it's lit. It's creepy.
Yeah.
The way it cuts back and forth.
Pulling that glass out of us and just...
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Yeah, it's really squeamish.
These kind of tools he's made, I guess. We don't know what they're for yet, but...
Yeah.
And Butterfield's just creepy. I mean, he has a weird kind of sexuality to him that's just kind of weird.
Yeah, or in that scene where he's threatening to cut out...
Those pants.
Oh, what's his name? Valentin, when he's threatening to cut his eyes and stuff.
Oh yeah.
For some reason, I always get scared that he's going to get his eyes cut out, even though I know that it's not going to happen.
I always
got nice pants.
House right here. Yeah, those pants rock.
They're like glam rock, golden tight pants. Yeah. And here's Famke Janssen.
Yeah.
Her first feature. And she went off to a really great thing. Yeah. She went off to play in a Goldeneye after this, and that really took her career off. She played a great villain in that film.
And then the X-Men movies.
Yes, that just the rest is history.
I always thought she was so beautiful. She's really a beautiful, stunning woman.
She is.
Swann is like, oh great, Swann. Something else to worry about.
And all those posters in the back. There's like that. They're all from real magicians, real historical magicians.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. Like that one that said Fu Manchu or something.
Yeah.
That was actually an American guy, but he made himself up to look Asian. That was actually his big secret, was he was not Asian at all.
Oh, really?
Oh, jeez.
Yeah.
Gee.
I think one of his tricks, and I'm just recalling this from memory, was that he claimed that he could catch a bullet with his teeth. And of course it was a fake bullet, but one day I think the casing might have gone out and he actually got shot or something. If that's the actual guy I'm thinking about. A lovely office here. Really amazing. So, yep. There's...
Kevin J. O'Connor is...
he was also in The Mummy. He plays that... the brother of the hero of The Mummy, I think.
Right.
He's a character actor. He does a lot of supporting roles. I've seen him in a ton of stuff.
Yeah, he was in Stargate, the movie, too.
He was in Virtuosity.
Did you see that little model of the trick that he's going to do.
Yeah.
That's
And did you guys watch when Chris Angel did his version of that trick?
No.
Oh.
That was a little
I
disappointing.
heard about it.
Yeah, I saw it on TV.
It was
a little
done with special effects or something.
It was done with a lot of editing.
Yeah.
And it was like a kind of a mentalist kind of thing.
Hey,
like they had to like pull the ropes and
y'all saw this painting in
Yeah, we
real life.
got pictures in front of that painting.
uh-huh.
What was that like seeing that?
Oh, it was cool. Yeah, it was really neat.
How tall is it? I mean, like
Maybe like 6 feet,
Yeah.
around that. And again, I think I mentioned this before, but that stairway, is it the same stairway that's in the cover of Clive Barker's biography, The Dark Fantastic? It looks like it.
it does. You're right.
Well, that would make sense. I mean, I'm sure there were a lot of production photos taken at that time.
Here's one of the parts that's not on the theatrical. Valentin visiting Harry and, offering him $5,000 or a day or $500 a day.
It's 2 p.m. or whatever.
Yeah.
It's like the next 5 minutes are actually removed from it's like a whole car scene as well coming up.
Yeah, the driving through the city while they're eating
I
fast
love
food.
that scene. It's
Yeah,
really
where he
shows
says, I could do a lot of shit more, but then you know that.
Yeah, Clive Barker in the commentary track said that apparently test audiences thought there was too much talking in the movie, so they took that out.
Oh. Don't listen to test audiences.
I'm tired of that process, man. To an extent.
I think people also like to be surprised, and there's nothing wrong with, making something that's different from everything else. Like I think the big letdown, like if you watch the Crow movie, the big letdown for me was that they had to put a climax in the end where you kill the crow and you kill the man and he catches that and he has that girl hostage and it's like now it's just a regular action movie.
Yeah, I can understand that. I agree with that.
I mean, in the comic book, he was indestructible, and there wasn't and there was really not a climax exactly. It was just he got to the last guy, top dollar, and killed him.
Yeah, that was it. You're right.
I wish that they had had the guts to make the movie the way it was in the comic books.
Sure. So here, when you read the Last Illusion, it's a very different story from this. The only common elements is the fact that there's a dead magician, there's a funeral, there's a scene where a guy is spending the night, Demore is spending the night with the casket and stuff like that. But then the rest of the story is very. I think he took it like Nyx is a creation that kind of reflects Mamoulian from the Damnation game because he wants to go into the darkness with Swann, just like Mamoulian wanted to go into the darkness with Joseph Whitehead.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And Valentin in the short story was a demon familiar. For Swann.
It was more of a Lovecraftian type story.
Yeah, and there was an awesome sequence with like a band from hell playing instruments made out of like body parts and stuff, right?
Yeah.
Yes. And Butterfield and all those characters were kind of creatures, weren't they?
Butterfield was a lawyer from hell.
Yeah.
That's great.
And Valentin was like some kind of creature, and so was Dorothea.
And listening again, I'm referencing this Clive Barker commentary track. I don't want to be like the guy who keeps bringing it up, but he also mentioned that Harry Demore is the guy who keeps getting himself involved with these forces of darkness. But it's almost like he can't help it. It's not that it's not that he seeks them out himself. It's just that he finds himself involved in this. And then Clive Barker went to make the parallel that kind of like the visions that he gets, like his creative ideas. They just come to him. Sometimes he doesn't even have to like push for his imagination. It's just mostly in dreams. That's where he gets a lot of ideas from.
Yeah.
And then he puts them all in drawings or pictures or writes stories that never get finished. Just wish Clive Barker could finalize a lot of that stuff that we saw at the Seraphin offices. There's like binders and binders of stuff.
Yeah, well, he's got a crew of people to work on making things out of all that stuff.
Kind of continue your point, Jose, about how Harry just falls into this stuff. I mean, his story started off with him just was an insurance fraud.
Yeah, trying to go
Now
to LA to do
now
an
he's,
insurance
you
fraud
know,
case.
Caught up with this magician and
Yeah.
you know, all this.
And in the Scarlet Gospels, all he had to do was go down to
New Orleans,
to this guy, to this guy's house to just make sure that his secret dungeon wouldn't be found out by his family, and he ends up involved in a battle for hell with
Cinnabon.
Lucifer, and
Yeah.
just can't get a break.
Yeah. I wonder if he ever got paid for this insurance fraud thing, or did he just drop it and not even finish
Yeah.
it?
I wonder what happened to Loomis, the guy at the beginning. It's like,
Yeah.
Went back to the motel.
Yeah, Loomis had like an axe, right, in the short story,
I think so.
and he.
oh, here's a great scene starting up here. Wonderful shot. Love it.
Yeah.
And just, oh.
He really wanted to use the actual Pantages Theater for this, and he talked to his producer, Joanne Salar, and they made it happen. So they really had this. Nowadays, it would probably be done in like CGI or something. They would just CGI the crowds in with green screen and stuff like that. But this is actually. Hey, that guy was in Borat.
Oh, yeah, right.
Wait, is that guy?
Yeah.
The rich guy is smoking a cigar. Nice looking crowd here of rich people.
Yeah. He must be a magician. He's got a
fancy jacket.
Yeah.
Clive said he was very thankful to all these people for showing up because
I don't think they got paid, right?
no, not at all.
I would have definitely
Said he would have
been there.
He said, yeah, me too.
This whole sequence here, the main stage show set and the sculptures for the beast and the stage and all that was done by a design company called White Rabbit, and I'll add the link to the show notes. You can find like good pictures of all the stage set and early sketches of the stage design and how they designed the illusion, and it's really, really fantastic, including Swann's last act. I love this part.
It's a little Clive Barker, a little more Clive Barker than stage magician, though, because you've got all these like naked women running around and
yeah, it's like more like a Vegas show.
Yeah.
But definitely, this movie is like quintessential Clive Barker. Mid-90s, a lot of, very well produced. This idea that there's different worlds of magic. This is pure Clive Barker. In a way that we haven't really seen in the 21st century. I mean, Clive Barker later got into Aberrat, and that's kind of the kick that he's been on, apart from the Scarlet Gospels. Which really was a little more different from both the movies and the novella The Hellbound Heart. There wasn't much of a connection between those things in the Scarlet Gospels, I thought.
Right, yeah.
In terms of aesthetic and style. But yeah, this is a great sequence.
It's very just, I'm sitting here, I'm kind of getting sucked into the scene just by looking at it.
Me too.
There's a giant bug with wings there filling up the stage.
Yeah, exactly.
The clear sarcophagus that flies over the stage with a skeleton. And then it's the bug's proboscis that fills it up with the red sand.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Which that's going to play an important role a little later.
Mm-hmm.
Now, when y'all saw it in the theater, were there a lot of big crowds?
Oh yeah, it was sold out when I saw it because it was a movie festival.
Well, I was in Fairbanks, Alaska, so no.
Yeah, there wasn't a lot of people in my theater either. They didn't get the movie at all.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a shame.
Well, I think for most people it's just another movie. I mean, it's not like,
And one of my showings, actually, it was just me and another guy, and he walked out on it at the end towards the
Oh, really?
The really crazy cultist stuff. I guess it must have offended him.
Oh. That's kind of cool that the sand solidified like that.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah, it was like the blast of flame that hardened it into a sand block.
Yeah. Yeah, it's amazing that that's just the opening part.
Come with me to the great beyond. Funny
Yeah.
enough, there was a script for a prequel. There was a prequel script for Lord of Illusions that was called Harry the Moor and the Great Beyond, I think. Help me out, Ryan. Was that the title?
Oh gosh. Yeah, and then there was. Yeah, I think so. And then there was like Vipex and.
Yeah, Vipex is the one I know of. They talked about it in Fangoria. I thought they were going to do that. It's too bad that never came to fruition. Now, when I was reading the Scarlet Box book by Felon Sarah about Hellraiser, they talked about Harry D'Amour's story. It was just called Harry D'Amour, The Adventures of Harry D'Amour. That's what the name of it was going to be.
Mm-hmm.
Well, actually, there was a picture of that story, that prequel. The Phil and Sarah posted on Pinterest once. It was Harry D'Amour: The First Adventure, a screenplay by Clive Barker. He wrote it actually in 1987.
Oh wow!
And then when it turned into script form, it became Clive Barker's Harry D'Amour and the Great Beyond.
Oh, okay.
I thought that great.
Because I just realized that Phil and Sarah Stokes from Revelations, CliveBarker.info, they have an actual album of notes and manuscripts, handwritten stuff on Pinterest from Clive Barker. I guess this is another note for the show notes.
Oh.
Yeah, this is hard. This is pretty hard to watch. I'd hate to be stabbed.
Yeah.
I think everybody hates to be stabbed.
Yeah, it's not. Oh, God.
If only this had happened to Chris Angel.
Not a big Chris Angel fan, I think.
No, it's okay. I mean, there's stuff that he does that I just don't think they're that impressive.
Oh, jeez. The last one.
This last one is brutal. And it's interesting because he's such a. You kind of wonder what's really happening in the background because this is him fake. We know this is him faking his own death, but how exactly? I mean, he's obviously really stabbed here.
Well, maybe not. Maybe it's just all an illusion somehow. Maybe it's just his head peeking out there and there's a mannequin.
Well, he was using his hands.
That's true. Maybe he can come back from the dead. I mean, Nyx comes back from the dead. Yeah. Who knows?
And the power.
But that's an excellent point. I mean, exactly how does he survive this and how does he fake his death?
Well, and if he really did get himself killed and then just resurrected himself later, it seems like that's pretty harsh length to go to get away from somebody who might kill you. Yeah,
pretty useless. You don't want to die, so why kill yourself?
Yeah.
No, I think this is just an illusion. I think this is really just...
Yeah, I mean, I'm not complaining because the one thing I like about Clive Barker's movies is there's so much mysterious stuff. Like we were just talking about that feral guy, we don't know if he's human or not.
Right.
Yeah, and there's a lot of little things like that in, Hellraiser, Nightbreed, Lord of Illusions.
And also not just that, but it's like it's supposed to have been sabotaged by Butterfield, right? So whatever Swann was planning to do, it got interfered with by Butterfield and Miller. So how did it go the way he wanted it? That other, people who don't like Clive Barker probably will say it's a plot hole. But
no, he didn't. They didn't sabotage it.
Right. Okay, that's this part here.
They were planning on it, and they were planning on catching up to him somehow, maybe after the show.
Gotcha.
I don't know.
Yeah, you're right.
In the short story, Swann got killed by a lion, didn't he?
Yes, right. Or no.
A lady gets eaten by a lion.
Yeah,
or she thinks so.
Yeah.
How does he die?
It was the same. It was, I think it was the sword thing. I'm trying to remember.
Well, whoever's listening, go read The Last Illusion. It's in the last volume of the Books of Blood.
Yeah, or if you're in the United States, it's in Cabal for some reason.
Yeah.
Dick punch.
Yeah, why does Miller have to try to be cool and hold the gun sideways?
Yeah, I know. He's trying to be Chow Chow Yun-fat.
Yeah.
This scene reminds me of the ending of Commando.
Oh yeah, right.
Well, yeah. Let off some steam, Ben.
Yeah. Gosh, takes forever for him to die.
Now, some of that got cut out, too. I think,
Oh
shot.
yeah.
It just cuts to him screaming, I think.
Well, and Butterfield's death too. They cut it way down for the theatrical cut.
Yeah. Because I actually like both versions of this movie. I'll go back and watch the theatrical version of this, too.
I've not seen the theatrical version since. Well, maybe we did. Maybe I did watch it when this came out. I can't remember. Yeah, but for me, it's just a shorter version of the movie.
Oh, yeah.
I think I've always seen the director's cut. I don't think I've ever seen the theatrical. I think even when they played it on the film festival in Portugal, I think they played the director's cut because I remember all this stuff.
Yeah. It's hard. It's hard to go back and remember the theatrical cut now.
Uh-huh. Well, the theatrical cut is just less of the movie. So.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that scene with the cultists, and their dead families and stuff is all cut out of the theatrical version.
Speaking of that scene, I remember Clive was talking about one of the producers said this scene is so sick, we're never going to put this in any version of the movie, and they did get it in the director's cut.
Yeah.
Also, I believe that the director's cut is R-rated, right?
It's unrated. The director's cut is unrated,
okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha. The R-rated one is the one that's cut.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And even then, it's cut. I mean, well, what the heck?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it's this weird thing where anything beyond R is sort of reserved for sex and, pornography. And so it's a death sentence for a movie to get beyond an R rating, and that's why the MPAA has such a huge stranglehold over, movies.
Well, back in the 80s, horror movies were R-rated, right?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Yeah, there's a few, like Evil Dead was unrated. Because they never ended up getting the MPAA wouldn't give it an R.
Well, what kills me is that the comedies used to be PG-13 and the horror movies used to be R-rated, but now it's backwards. Now the comedies are R-rated and the horror movies are PG-13.
That's
it's
true.
like I don't get it. Oh, we just heard Magic Moments by Erasure.
I'd love to go to this place in real life. This would be a fun place.
Do you
The
think
Magic Castle.
Do you think that in Imagica he named the Erasure after that band?
Hey, there's that guy.
Hey, that's an
Dark
idea.
Dark Dallas's, what's his name? Delhausen?
Oh, he's there?
Yeah, he was right there at that table.
Yeah, Del Howison was a bar patron over there. Yeah.
Oh man, I met him. He was nice. He gave me a ride from my hotel to his shop.
Oh, cool.
And this is, God, I remember his name. I saw his face on some memorabilia at a magic shop in Vegas once.
Oh, really?
His name is Macomb, I think.
Oh.
I'm trying to remember.
I love his tie, man. That tie is...
Yeah. His name is Billy Macomb, and he plays Walter Wilder in this movie.
Yeah, great name.
He was an actual magician, of course.
Yeah.
You can kind of tell.
This scene was removed from the R-rated version.
Is it really?
Yeah, it's not in there.
Yep.
Well, then how does he get into the? How's he
About
get
2
into the?
minutes.
The scene picks up with him, Walter Wilder, just taking him to the, I guess, what are that, circle of friends or circle of magicians. It just I'll tell you when where the
Yeah. Yeah, they cut like 2 minutes of this whole thing.
And again, I think it's a great scene showing Harry trying to get he's messing
Yeah,
with
it's
that
like-
car. And, it's all great detective stuff that they should have left in.
Yeah, a detective needs to do some detecting. It's.
Yeah.
And they cut all the exposition, so I don't know why they thought that was a good idea. Because you cut the exposition, and the story starts falling apart. People are like, "How did he get there? How did he get into that room? Who's that guy?"
Yeah.
It skips all the good stuff, the story. I guess they just cut to this part in the theatrical.
Mm.
And those are real artifacts in the Magic Castle.
Yeah, I guess it was a big deal to film in here because nobody'd done it before, right?
Hmm. Also, a little bit of trivia for people who like Nightbreed. Andrew Furtado, the editor of the director's cut of Nightbreed, and Mark Miller, vice president of Seraphin, first met in a trip to the Magic Castle.
Oh.
I think Andrew Furtado didn't have the right pants to get into the Magic Castle or something like that.
So he had to go borrow some from Mark or something like that.
The right pants.
Yeah,
there's a dress code for this.
Oh, okay.
I love this actor. He's just great.
He was in Ghost too. He played the ghost that was helping.
Oh,
In the subway, right?
Yeah.
In the subway, yeah. He's like he was a huge B movie like actor. He was in so many movies, from comedies to horror films. Vincent Schiavelli.
That's horrible, everybody laughing at Swann being dead.
Well, they're all kind of catty magicians, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
They all like compete with each other, and it's like they all are envious of each other's success, I guess. Clive Barker was saying in the commentary track that this scene was a continuity nightmare because nobody could remember who was eating what, who was smoking, who wasn't smoking. So from shot to shot, there's people who are eating different things and smoking and not smoking.
Yeah, nobody would.
I don't pay attention to it. It
Yeah.
definitely doesn't affect us.
As long as they're not changing their clothes or anything.
Right.
Yeah.
And even if they did, our brain will not notice some of those things.
Yeah.
Hey, fuck you, all right? Nice
that.
accent. What is it, Brooklyn?
Yeah.
That did get a big laugh in the theater when I saw it.
Oh, yeah. And this was also another magician that Clive met in San Diego once.
Oh.
I think he was a creative consultant on this film, wasn't he? As far as the magic goes.
He was.
That's right. His name in the movie is Billy Who, but he was played by a guy called Lawrence Stewart, I think.
Magicians that's a really tight-knit group, and they don't like to let secrets out.
Yeah.
Wasn't there
when you remember that magician who went through the Wall of China and made the Statue of Liberty disappear, David Copperfield?
Oh, yeah.
He was married to Claudia Schiffer for quite a long time. It was revealed after that Claudia Schiffer had to sign a non-disclosure agreement not to reveal any of the secrets of the tricks. That's serious stuff.
Wasn't there also a thing when this movie came out that there were like 3 movies about magicians all at the same time? There was The Illusionist or something, and I'm trying to remember.
You're talking about The Prestige.
Yeah, there was The Illusionist and The Prestige. They were 2 movies, but I think those movies came out years later.
Yeah, that's not. I guess that I don't know. I was thinking. I'm remembering.
That was like 10 years later.
I'm remembering. I thought there was some other movie also about a magician that came out at the same time. But
did that the pigeon shot remind you of Hellraiser?
A little bit from the animal store, the pet store, right? Yeah. Mm-hmm. I always dislike when they show flashbacks of things that we saw in the movie.
Oh, yeah.
Previously, like a few minutes ago, and they show it back to you. Even if it's like a dream sequence, I always think like, we don't need that. We already saw that. We saw that like half an hour ago.
Yeah, I agree.
That was a little different,
at
least.
That's pretty loud.
Now they added in the shot of the lazy Susan demon that was not in the theatrical cut.
Right.
Yeah, with
I don't understand. I don't know why they took that out. That would have.
Yeah.
Must have been.
Sometimes it's because of the blood or something, or the knives. I don't know. That was a cool design, like butcher knife wings for a demon.
That book he was writing in had Chinese on it.
Oh.
That's a Gideon Bible.
I would rewind it if I could, but
Yeah, there was a symbol of the Gideon Bible when he opens it up, and then when he writes on it, it's got Chinese in there.
Yeah.
Maybe a continuity error, maybe a different prop.
Oh, yeah. Stuff you don't notice until it's in high definition, I guess.
Yeah, so I was remembering that when he went to the Magic Castle, they played that Magic Moments by Erasure.
Yeah.
And that's an original music by Burt Bacharach. I think I remember that music was made by Erasure for this movie.
Oh, okay. Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, it came out in '97 in their album Cowboy.
2 years later.
Yep. Mm-hmm. So this whole sequence here again shows Harry D'Amour doing detective work.
Yeah, I think this was pretty much the only scene in the release version that showed him doing any kind of.
Oh, yeah.
Really, this is really kind of the kind of like that the kind of scenes Clive wanted to, show Harry doing. Like in the theatrical cut.
Yeah, just like in Blade Runner, when Deckard, he's supposed to be a detective that does no detecting because they cut a lot of scenes from the movie when they were making the version for the theaters where there was like a lot of scenes like, Deckard going to see Leon's apartment and looking at his pictures and stuff like that. That was all cut out of the movie. And then when they did like later editions, they put that stuff in as deleted scenes.
Yeah.
That's when people found out.
There's like 4, I think, right?
Yeah, I've got a DVD set.
Yeah,
or Blu-ray set of it. Yeah.
There's the theatrical version and then the 92 director's cut.
Oh, man. Remember when people did that, like furniture that had secret compartments and drawers?
Yeah.
That was not the best way to have secret compartments. That stuff would be obvious when someone opens a drawer. They see, oh, this drawer is smaller on the inside than the outside.
Yeah.
So was Valentin following D'Amour, or did they just happen to go to the same place at the same time?
He was following him.
Yeah, he looked for him here because he said he was a detective with no clues. So this is where obviously he would go.
Yeah.
I guess he's been communicating with Swann.
Yeah.
His payoff is probably from Swann.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, which is, at this point in the movie, is a little confusing because she sort of dropped the phone when he mentioned Nix, and you could probably imagine that she's scared and doesn't want to continue any further. So that it would make sense from that point of view. I mean, we know differently, but...
Are you knocking your microphone?
That wasn't me.
Okay.
Hey, Rob, are you still there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Oh, okay.
So there's a lot of cool stuff that you can also read about this movie at the clivebarker.info. We'll put that in the show notes. They got some cool sketches and interviews with Clive Barker. Oh, here we go. This has one of the funniest sequences, unintentionally funny sequences that I've ever seen in a movie.
What's that? What part?
Yeah. And this doctor, he was also in a lot of movies. I think I remember seeing him in a bunch of movies. I'm trying to figure out his name.
It's Dr. Toffler.
Yeah, Dr. Toffler.
It says right on his name tag.
On his name tag. Toffler, yeah.
That's right. And he's played by Barry Shabaka Henley.
Oh.
He's been in a lot of stuff. From, Four Brothers to Collateral to The Terminal. Better Call Saul. Shameless.
That nun in the background just looks mean as hell.
Yeah.
I have to say, though, after being in Los Angeles, the architecture is completely recognizable. You know, Los Angeles has all this architecture that's got all these like circular windows with like iron wrought Spanish mission kind of style.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's like the creepiest nurse ever behind them.
I know. It's really, that's what I was saying. She just looks mad.
Dang. So Jennifer Desiderio, she was one of the original gang that took care of Nix.
Yeah. She got her hand cut
Yeah, that was.
by
I
Butterfield.
guess she didn't do very well after she saw what she saw.
Yeah.
I was since we're going to do Magica next as an episode, I was listening to the audiobook and I was just thinking about this character and the other character that belonged in the Tabula Rasa, Clara Leash.
Oh yeah, she is like Clara Leash.
She also goes to dabble in magic books and stuff, and then she's found in the basement of the Tabula Rasa building, and she's like crazy, and they stick her in a loony bin.
Yeah.
Or an asylum.
Well, and she's also a crazy character that gives you just enough information and then she gets killed, which is
yes.
I mean, same thing.
That's right. You really have to question the safety regulations of this place when someone, patients can be just walking down a hallway and then they just do a quick jog and they're in the middle of the street.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, nice job, nice job, sister.
I know. That's so weird that she just pushes him away from her like that.
And there we go. Like this part, I was just like, when I saw this, I was like, I can't believe that they put this in the movie. But, whatever. And that's a 1982 Cadillac Seville, courtesy of the Internet Movie Card Database. I like this blues song that they play here.
Yeah, and this whole scene and that song are missing from the theatrical version.
Yep, all this part with the cultists killing their families.
And Clive had said in an interview that this whole scene was actually sort of a bait for the MPAA, so that they would give them this to take out, and that they could keep other stuff that they liked. Oh,
I see. It's a shame, though, because it's a really good sequence. It's got great special effects, great visuals, and that letter saying "Homecoming Time."
It's dead children is the sort of no.
And also because after I came to America, I realized that in America, homecoming usually has a much more familiar and fun meaning to it. When you guys go to homecoming at your university or something.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Or high school.
High school, yeah.
Yeah, it means the football team is coming back from away games or whatever.
Yeah. So if you're in the band or the marching band, you go there and you drink and you play and you have fun with all your former classmates. I love this guy. This guy with the snakes. It's just great.
Yeah. That's other stuff that I wish they wouldn't have cut out so much, because it gave the cultists a bit more personalities.
Yeah.
You really don't get to know them until towards the end, really, when they're going crazy.
Gosh, now that I live in Arizona, now I can identify why people would just walk around in sleeveless shirts in the middle of the night.
Yeah.
Because it can get pretty hot.
Well, you said that it's been like 100. Haven't y'all hit 100 a few times?
Oh, yeah. Like last weekend, there was 100 degrees here.
Yeah.
That's like, it's September.
It's like 40 in the middle of the day here now.
Oh, geez. I both like it and hate it.
How's the humidity?
Very dry. Like lower than 20%. Thank goodness.
Yeah, no, thank goodness for that.
So I guess he doesn't rank high enough to get a key to get into the Magic Castle.
Do you guys remember how big was the budget for this?
Oh.
11? Was it 11 million? 10, 11 million? I know it was over 10.
Something like that.
It was over 10 or something like that. Because I remember him saying, like, if to do a sequel, it only needed to make about, at the time, $25 million.
Oh.
And so
They didn't make it.
It just actually, I think, failed at the box office side. I don't even think it made its budget back.
Here's a cool quote from Daniel von Bargen about playing Nix. He's talking about reading the script, and he says, "I just saw blood and kind of turned it down the first time I read through it. Oh my goodness, and I just kind of skimmed through it, I must admit, and then after talking with Clive for a good while, I just began to think of the movie differently. I didn't know what you and I know now about what Clive had in mind when he wrote it, and that makes all the difference in the world, really. There's a reason for this stuff happening as opposed to reading your part. And, oh, Nix does what? I'm sorry. But now it's really kind of fascinating."
Yeah.
So as disconnected as this paragraph was, it shows his feelings when he read the script. He originally passed on it, though.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah.
He talked about that. I think he made that same quote in some documentary that was shown on a Sci-Fi Channel back when this movie was first released.
Oh, gosh.
There was actually a deleted scene where Harry talked to this guy. You can probably find it in the deleted scene section here where they talked about he has a wife. He had a wife.
There's a well-known production picture of Clive Barker standing in front of that mechanism.
Yeah.
I guess this was designed to cut the magician's hands if they tried to take something without permission.
Yeah.
Yeah. Fucking hokey, is that what he says? So fucking hokey.
I really love the monster that shows up here, though. It's really awesome.
It's really cool. Yeah, I liked it.
I would want to see a movie with that monster.
Yeah.
I guess it was KNB or something that did it.
That's cool. Doesn't David have that picture?
Yeah, I was going to say, David Anderson, our friend on the podcast, has this stuff, doesn't he?
I think he has the newspaper that has that Clive Barker, the article. I don't know if he has the picture. I think he does.
Yeah, I think he has that picture too.
Yeah, that one right there with the skin. Yeah.
When I got the Blu-ray, actually the DVD. When I got a DVD of this, I think I took a nice screen cap of it, and then I kind of completed the corners, and I made my own photo of Nix. Now with the Blu-ray, it's much better resolution. Hey, do you see that computer over there? Is that like an Apple computer?
I was trying to figure that out too. It's hard to tell. All you can see is the monitor. Oh no, it's a Compaq.
Okay.
Probably like a 486 or something.
Really love the decoration at the Magic Castle. It's really amazing.
Or maybe a Pentium 1.
Yeah.
I love that. It's like some old B movie from the 50s kind of style monster.
Yeah, with that brain coming out. It's just awesome. And the glowing eyes.
I think it's a little over the top for Harry to shoot the camera. I mean, this isn't his place. He can't.
Yeah, of course.
Why is he doing that?
They're trying to be sneaky, and then, they're going to be like, hey, who shot that hole over there?
Yeah.
Especially after he knows it's just a hologram.
Yeah.
And he shoots it twice.
Yeah.
Talk about overkill.
Yeah.
It was cool for them to, make a hologram kind of illusion, even though there were no holograms.
Mm-hmm.
But, even when they take those files are really just visual. They don't really explain how the tricks are done.
Yeah. No, right. Yeah.
Some of the special effects do look a little dated, especially in this upcoming scene where we're going to see the origami man.
Yeah, I had a friend that watched it, and he said that was what he hated the most, was that.
Mm-hmm.
But in reality, it was following Clive's direction. I mean, I don't think that there's a way to make somebody fold up like paper and make it look realistic.
Yeah.
Let me just say this because in this scene with the casket behind it, there's a poster of Professor Alba, who was a real magician, and I found the poster that's behind the wall there, and it's called Professor Alba, the man who cheated death. So it's kind of like a little nod.
Wow.
Yeah, it's going to be a little nod to what's going to come up later.
Yeah, foreshadowing.
Also, great attention to detail. You can see teardrops on her dress there.
Yeah, I was just noticing that too. I was wondering if there were stains or what.
Mm-hmm.
This is kind of like that part earlier. That scene kind of is like the way the story is, the short story with Swann and a casket for the entire piece.
Yeah. Yeah, the last illusion sort of starts here, in a way.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
He's supposed to spend the night and protect the casket from
The
hell.
forces of hell
Yeah.
coming over and taking his soul.
Yeah, and if he can make it through the night, then he's free.
This looks such a comfortable office. I want to live in that office.
Yeah. That couch.
Mm-hmm.
Read a book. There's all kinds of cool posters in the background in this movie.
I get a flashback to reading The Great and Secret Show and that house that belongs to that magician that does the party.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Buddy Vance or something.
Oh, he was a comedian.
Mm-hmm. But he also had all these posters on the walls of like old Hollywood and old magic stuff. And here's what Famke Janssen had to say about her role. She said, "I thought this is going to be a really challenging film to do as an actor, no matter what, just because when you act in a horror film, you're going to have to deal with a lot of elements that are not there on the day you're shooting. So that was certainly challenging, seeing an empty wall and imagining something to come out of that, or looking in the sky and supposedly something's unfolding in front of my eyes that I don't exactly know how to imagine. And of course, Clive knows all these things very well because he wrote it. And as much as he could, he tried to explain these things to me during the shooting, and I kept insisting, I want to know more, be more specific. You know, what does it feel like? What does it look like? Whatever you can give me, because I'm not in your head. I can't imagine these things. And of course, funny enough, by the time I saw this on film, it was so different than what I'd been imagining at the time, because I'm not in his head and I don't have his imagination. I wish I did, because he has the best imagination of anybody." It's a very stylized romanticism in this movie.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Very kind of old school film noir.
Yeah. Like, except instead of being her showing up at his office, she sends Valentin.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, this was all cut from the theatrical.
I had remembered that he got those tattoos permanently put on his back because he had planned to play Harry D'Amour in future movies and stuff.
Yeah. You're right.
Is that true?
Yeah, I think so.
I'm having a hard time believing that, but if you say so, I'm going to take it at face value.
Yeah, it was an interview with. It was in an interview with him.
Okay. And by the way, that painting is now in Mark Miller's office at Seraphin. It's a beautiful painting. I wonder who made it, though. I forgot to ask. I don't think it was Clive Barker.
No, I don't think so either.
You get the feeling that Valentin kind of has a sense of ownership over Dorothea. It's like, I'm the man of the house now.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, he's got this weird, like, wait till Swann finds out about this.
Yeah.
And it's like, you're just an employee, dude. You're not going to, well, he knows that Swann is not dead.
Yeah.
I think it's funny that that Harry D'Amour, Scott Bakula once said that there were definitely some similarities between Harry and Kolchak, the Night Stalker.
Oh, definitely. Did y'all ever watch that show? It was a great show.
No.
Derek McGavin.
I've never seen it because I don't think we ever had it in TV in Portugal when I grew up. So I was never exposed to it, but I guess I can always look it up.
Highly recommend it.
Okay. I'll give it a shot.
Yeah. Yeah, if you like Harry Moore, you'll instantly, or this kind of stuff, you'll instantly just grab onto it.
Here's some information.
Right. That staircase got to be that one from the Dark Fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Because that book also came out in the mid-90s, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So this part, the optical effects, this is straight from Joanne Solar, who was the producer. She said, we have a really good effects supervisor who's brought really good people to the table, like XFX, who are doing all of Nix's makeup, and then KNB, who are doing the general day-to-day gory stuff. And then Gene Warren from Fantasy 2, who's doing a lot, 90% of the opticals. So that's the company that was doing the opticals for this.
But optical is different from CGI, right? Optical is like in-camera stuff.
I think it involves CGI.
I think the fire there looks really good.
Yeah.
Yeah. Fire's hard to make look real. I thought they did a good job of that. So the fire, the snakes and stuff. I thought that.
Yeah,
really
and that's going to come back later.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, you can see that's like ropes on fire being wrangled by wires, and then it's just a double exposure on top of that.
Yeah.
Still looks good though. Yeah.
I don't have a problem with this origami man effect. I think it still works. I don't know.
Yeah.
That's just me though.
And also, my friend didn't like the sex scene. He thought it was forced. Like, these people have got enough problems. Why are they stopping to have sex in the middle of this?
Well, sure, yeah.
Which, yeah,
I guess it's a way to relieve tension.
Yeah. Well, and it does happen a lot in movies because they sort of accelerate people's relationships.
Yeah.
Yeah, of course, yeah. But also, it's not unusual for people to hook up during funerals, so believe it or not.
I think their relationship was building up to that because there was some kind of chemistry, obviously.
Mm-hmm. Well, and if Dorothea really didn't have a physical relationship with Swann, she was pretty starved.
Yeah.
Harry Moore is a handsome guy. So.
Well, Swann said that he loved her. What if that really was his jaw? He would feel so bad.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I thought it was fake.
Sorry, I thought it was fake.
Did you notice that there's a water tank with handcuffs in the back? In that room, there was one.
Like Houdini.
Like behind Dorothea.
Huh.
Right there.
Oh yeah.
I know who killed Swann. It was a special effects artist.
Yeah.
I really like the mixture of the mixture of illusionism and real magic in this movie, and the way they differentiate between both of them.
Yeah.
Of course, in real life, there's no such thing as real magic. I'm sure some people out there are disagreeing with me right now. Saying, no, I believe in magic. So those tattoos had a purpose. They protected Harry Moore, and you'll find more of that in books like Everville and Scarlet Gospels.
Yeah.
They would alert him to things, right? They would begin to itch.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They would protect him and warn him of the presence of paranormal entities.
And there were different tattoos for different things.
Yeah.
I think we passed by this graveyard when we were in Los Angeles, Ryan. Do you remember that?
Did we?
I think we might have passed
on the way up to Clive's house.
I think so, or maybe it was a different graveyard. I'm sure there's a lot of them in Los Angeles.
Yeah, it looks pretty small.
There's a lone figure keeping his distance, which is also kind of like a trope, I guess. The guy who fakes his own death but stops by his funeral in disguise just to see who shows up.
Yeah, I think that started with Huckleberry Finn, right?
Oh, really?
I don't know.
Oh, yeah, right. Because they think he drowned, and yeah, I remember that.
And he showed up to his own funeral.
Kind of like how the darkness swallows him here when he walks into it.
So what part are you guys on right now?
Yeah,
is he walking into the tunnel?
Yeah, they're walking.
Yeah.
So Harry's just now stepping into the tunnel.
Okay, great.
A really creepy set.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like this is what Harry wants to do instead of facing his fear. He wants to live in this garbage. But do you think that Swann is living here?
Yeah.
I think so, yeah.
He's turned into like a vagrant kind of character.
Yeah, you'd think that they could have done better than that.
Oh, I'm sure.
I think Clive wanted this scene coming up with the car. He really would like to have done a little bit more with that than just have it hovering over. I think he wanted to do some cooler things like, have Swann.
Yeah, I guess at the time they were also limited to the special effects of the time.
Yeah, they couldn't.
I mean, the first time that there was good CGI in a movie might have been like 91. What was Terminator 2?
91. You're right.
91, right.
Yeah, and Alien 3 was another one. Was pretty close to around the same time.
Mm-hmm.
Because you'll notice they never show the top. There they are, the top of the car. But obviously it's a crane holding that thing.
Horror film.
Yeah, because we don't really see the car move at all, and
yeah, I mean, he could have done all kinds of crazy stuff with it, making it.
It just seems like there's a car hanging there, and the guy's just gesticulating.
Now he's tired, like Luke Skywalker trying to get the X-wing out of the swamp.
Can't do it; it's too much.
Yeah. I wonder how many vagrants Swann had to get out of that tunnel.
Yeah, right.
Because that place has a lot of furniture around, so that could.
He just levitated them all into outer space.
Yeah.
Like, all right, everybody out. This is my tunnel now. This part was still in the movie, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is.
It's just the car ride part that's not.
Yeah. I remember I wrote when I first joined the podcast, I remember the review I wrote of this.
Yeah, right.
And I was a little too hard on it because they released. I think this was a bad movie to release at Christmas. I get in a kind of a funky mood around Christmas. I think I took some of my anger out on
Clive likes to bring up that date of Christmas and Christmas Eve. And other stories, like for example, there's that first story with Harry D'Amour takes place in Christmas Eve.
Yeah.
And right now I'm reading Imagica again. There's a part where it's Christmas Eve and Gentle is by himself in his studio apartment.
Did he do a story about Christmas, or was it a play, or?
What's Valentin doing here? I can't remember why he comes here.
Yeah, it doesn't really say. I guess maybe to. I can't answer that. I don't know. Yeah,
obviously it was a terrible idea.
Yeah, because from here on, his character just is this.
Might have been picking up something for Swann.
Yeah, or trying to find Harry and Dorothea.
Because this looks like it's the Pantages Theater backstage, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Same place where Swann died.
This is a very uncomfortable scene.
Yeah.
I remember Clive's talked about it in the commentary that people just were really uncomfortable because, like I said, people don't like being cut and people experiencing something like this. Like
that cut on the ball of the thumb that they show at the beginning of the movie in the compound with Nick's cultists. That kind of reminds me always of the Hellraiser when Larry scratches his hand in the nail in the wall.
Yeah, exactly.
It's that sort of. It's not really terror, but it's more like something that makes you very uncomfortable.
Yeah, it's more
And I guess it
personal.
kind of. Yeah, it sets the tone for the scene.
Well, that guy just sells it too. I mean,
Yeah.
The actor that plays Valentin.
So
I could
Valentin
just
is
scoop
obviously
him out.
not a demon in this movie.
No.
No, he's just a human. He's gonna bleed plenty.
Yeah.
This is a new scene. This was not.
I wonder who paid the electric bill.
Yeah, they were still. I love those the cockroach shots. It reminds me of.
This now is completely cut from the theatrical.
Yeah.
Yeah, this whole part. Cockroaches, can't show them.
In the theatrical cut, it's kind of like we don't care who these cultists are. They're just, they're just background.
Now they have kind of like a little bit of backstory to them.
Yeah. They're pathetic, but
yeah. This was another scene with Dorothea having this dream that was cut.
yeah. Yeah, right. That who is that guy?
That was a scene. What guy?
That was actually cut from the beginning of the movie.
Yeah, exactly.
The naked guy reciting some sort of like spell.
Yeah, he performed some kind of ritual.
Oh, so he was somebody that was in the. He was.
Yeah, they thought that the opening scene at the compound, they thought it went on for too long, so they cut a few things out.
That scene kind of reminds me again of the Hellraiser scene with Kirsty having that dream.
That's the perfect dream sequence. It's so awesome. That Hellraiser one.
I like that table.
Poor Clementia.
Yeah.
That's another scene that was taken out of The Last Illusion, though, right? Right. The maid was murdered, and Dorothea was kidnapped.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yes. If you go to CliveBarkerArchive.com, you can also find a lot of stuff that had to do with this movie. There's storyboards and stuff like that.
Oh, cool! Really?
There's a whole storyboard sequence of Swann's last act.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. We'll add that to the show notes. Whoa.
That's so weird.
I love this little moment. He's like gonna kiss her, but then he's like, "Ugh, that tongue."
Yeah.
It's pretty.
I think if you go to Simon Boswell's website, he may have some of the tracks there to listen to. But the best edition of the soundtrack is really that 2 CD one, because that's the complete one.
Mm-hmm.
I've got. I just recently got that 2 CD about maybe a year ago. I didn't know. Yeah, it's really good. I didn't know because it has all the cues that I love. Because the original soundtrack that I have too, it doesn't have a lot of the cues that I love about the score.
Right. No, yeah, it's more like a kind of an impression of the movie, I guess.
Yeah.
But you need both of them because the obviously the Simon Boswell doesn't have like the songs, you know.
Yeah. The other one has that song we like,
Magic Moments.
Mega Moments and
Laura.
Yeah.
By Brave Combo.
Yeah. Laura.
And I think this is a Mercedes-Benz.
This is the one time.
Wait, no, I'm sorry. That was a Chrysler LeBaron convertible.
This is the one time that Swann sort of opens up and isn't shaking,
Uh-huh.
That car ride, and it's not even in the theatrical cut at all. So now here he's back to being afraid again.
That's a good point, Ryan. It's a scene I wish they wouldn't have cut because it does show him as kind of get to know him as a human being a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah, again, that whole part, was cut. It just doesn't make any sense. Just doesn't make any sense. It's almost 4 minutes that are cut in that driving sequence.
Yeah.
That's one of the largest sequences that they cut out of the movie.
Clive hates this shot of the car driving right there. He said that was like a second unit shot that he didn't care for.
Oh, you mean from the inside or the outside?
Outside. When it shows it from the desert.
What was wrong with it? It seemed okay. It's really small, short, but
he just didn't like it, I guess.
That was in the audio commentary?
Yeah, talks about it.
I'm surprised that they let this car ride with Butterfield and Dorothea in because they're also talking.
Yeah, right.
You know?
Yeah.
If you're cutting that much out of the story, you know.
I don't understand why he needed so many years to build these tools.
He had to teach himself.
He needed to teach himself to build these tools?
Well, and the magic.
I guess.
Yeah, and the magic behind it. Yeah.
Okay.
In my grand unified theory of Clive Barker, you could argue that I'm reading Magica again, I know, but the Tabula Rasa Society was taking over all the volumes of magic in the world and putting them in a big basement. There was the biggest library of magic books since the Vatican. And then if you go with Scarlet Gospels, that you had that Society of Magicians. Right. They were also like collecting and hoarding all the magic books and all that stuff. So if someone had to learn anything esoteric, then they were out of luck because they couldn't find those volumes.
Yeah.
Oh man, that's harsh.
What, the headbutt?
Yeah.
Yeah, I know, man. The sound effect when I saw it in the theater was loud.
Yeah, and so he hit her in the head. Usually when you headbutt somebody, you hit them in their nose.
Because it's soft. If you hit him right in the forehead, you're going to hurt yourself.
Yeah.
You know, it's really weird that they would be able to find the exact location of Nix in the middle of the desert.
Yeah.
Back in the day when there wasn't any commercial GPS, I guess.
It's a little too perfect, I guess.
Yeah.
They did dig a big hole, so.
Yeah.
And then and they didn't come right down on top of him.
Poor Valentin. I mean, imagine how long it would take for you to dig a hole that deep.
Yeah.
Oh, this is a set they built.
Yeah, he'd be digging all night.
Really good.
Right. No, yeah, sure, it's a set. I know. Yeah. I like the mask though. I really like that mask.
Yeah.
It's like a binding mask.
I think it is an homage to Mario Bava's Black Sunday when they hammered the mask on Barbara Steele.
Yeah. It's a great movie.
Yeah, it is. Now, see, this is where in the theatrical version, it just cuts to this stuff with the cultists. All that other stuff.
Yeah.
Without that other stuff, it's just, they're just crazy cultists.
Yeah.
I mean, which they are, but.
It's like this part wasn't cut out of the movie, was it?
No.
Was this part?
Not at all, no.
So it doesn't make any sense. This part has more blood and it's more gruesome in some ways than the part where they show that the cultists were killing their families and going home.
But you had dead kids laying on the floor with blood coming out.
Oh, right. Yeah. Dead kids, it's a no-no. Mm-hmm. Right. I found it.
Yeah. Here's another jump scare of a hand coming out of the ground. Or no, I guess he falls in.
He just fell.
I forgot. Yeah.
And then Valentin is going to do a jump scare, but
that's what it is.
It's cheap when they do something in the movie where it's like, well, if the camera doesn't see it, it's not there.
Yeah.
Even though the person might be facing that direction or might have fallen into the big wide hole, but you didn't see Valentin lying there.
You get to see really Valentin, the how fucked up he looks by
Yeah, what was he? I mean, why would he spend so much time killing him?
carving him up. I don't know, but
Yeah.
he really he went to work on his face. It looks like Mary Kelly did, Jack the Ripper.
Well, Butterfield is not a nice guy.
Oh no, definitely not.
Probably enjoyed it.
This is another part I like where Harry, he doesn't want Valentine to die. It shows him. There's a character in Evermore, and he's going to remember that ceremony he's going to?
Oh, yeah.
Or you got a friend that dies, and he told him not to come, and it's a hard.
Yeah.
So it's hard for Harry to lose. He doesn't like to lose, like I said, lose people.
Mm-hmm. It's strange that the bald caps they use for the cultists, that doesn't look like they cut their hair with scissors. It looked like their hair was shaved.
Oh, yeah, right.
In some ways, right? Yeah, because it's really, really smooth and there's no stubble there. That's the only thing about the makeup that I think is not ideal.
Yeah.
Yeah, and on the Blu-ray you can really tell they're fake.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're a different color and.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm surprised they let this stuff stay in. This is pretty harsh stuff right there.
Yeah.
So about the whole reconstruction of the ceremony, do you guys think that originally when they rescued the young Dorothea that there was about to be some ritual that never got completed or something? Or do you think it's just that Butterfield is just bringing the whole gang back together, including Dorothea?
Oh, I don't know. Well, he says that Nyx will probably want revenge on her for shooting him.
Oh, right.
But, yeah, what were they going to do with Dorothea the first time?
I guess he just wanted to keep her as kind of like his disciple. Like, I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't want to go expound on something that may be uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love the effect of the skin changing color. It seems like they reverse filmed it, and they were like pumping ink into like a spongy looking thing.
Oh yeah.
And then they just played it backwards.
Yeah. Yeah, and all of this, the internal shots of like bones breaking later with Swann and stuff. You saw that a little bit later in movies, but I think it was new from this one.
I think the only parts that after this that are cut from the theatrical are the ones where Butterfield sticks his knife into like
the
power outlet.
Yeah.
And then it just is burned kind of bubbles.
Yeah, that's it.
And blood's shooting out.
Mm-hmm. So I'm guessing that shack in the middle of the desert has electrical power because they probably have a generator back there somewhere.
Maybe that's it. Yeah, it seems to me that Dorothea could probably have run out at this point, because Butterfield's pretty preoccupied with what he's doing.
I think she's paralyzed with fear.
I think she would have got caught by one of the cultists too. So.
Yep.
Actually, I think that's what happens. Doesn't she try to run away and it gets?
Oh, maybe that's true.
Yeah, they're just waiting outside.
Yeah.
Okay.
And it says, "Hold her."
Yeah.
Hold her.
Ew. That slimy stuff coming out of the mask.
Yeah.
Man, really, you get great detail on the Blu-ray of how the colors on his of the makeup. Really great makeup by that Canby, I assume. Really good job.
Yeah, I guess the Blu-ray can go either way for special effects. It can make it more apparent of the amount of work that went into it, or sometimes it could just show like the wires and the makeup seams around the face and stuff like that. But
I think it's good for like makeup stuff like this.
Mm-hmm.
For like definitely for Frank and Hellraiser when he is skinless.
This was definitely a great job. Even the body, even though it's a simple like job they did on the body, it's not. You can tell it's not prosthetic. The prosthetic's just on the face, but even the body's texture looks great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a very striking profile, especially after he puts on that, you know, Nyx the White.
Very biblical.
Yeah, like a shepherd. And slap.
Yeah, he did all this stuff for him, and all he gets is a good kick to the balls.
Yeah.
God.
We never really understand why. I guess it's because he contradicts him or something, right? He questions him. Yeah.
Yeah, he says, "Where is Swann?" And he says he's dead, and then he keeps arguing with him about it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't understand why they have to suffer first. He's already going to kill them.
Yeah.
Isn't getting sunk into the mud suffering enough?
Maybe it demands a blood sacrifice or something.
Yeah.
Well, I don't think at that point they'd know that he's going to screw him over.
Yeah.
You know?
Well,
I think
Go ahead.
the cultists probably think that he's going to cleanse the world with the chosen few.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think I love that alternating, that monologue that he's giving them about how he has to give something to the grave in return, and they all are believing that he's going to dump Dorothea down that hole in the ground.
Yeah.
So they're like, "Oh yeah, show us," and he's like actually talking about them the whole time.
Yeah. Kind of reminds me of Jim Jones when he got rid of his, all his cultists.
Yeah, in Jonestown. That's really creepy. Whenever you listen to the tapes, yeah, that just
that's horrible. Chilling.
The way that he programmed those people every single day to be able to sacrifice themselves.
Mm-hmm.
He would just wake them up in the middle of the night and say, "All right, let's practice run. Let's go drink Kool-Aid." And people would just go in the middle of the night and pretend to do a mass suicide in case the American troops were coming to kill them all.
Yeah.
I didn't know that. They actually did practice runs?
Yes.
Wow.
They would do that. Mm-hmm. They would do these exercises several times, gather up and all that. Then when they finally did it, people probably thought it was another exercise. Yep, there's says here one of the reviews for the Video Magazine in June of '97. This was written by Tom Keogh. He said, "There's a long trail of provocative ideas and themes in this film that Barker never seems to get the chance to explore. Generational betrayal, ambivalence over one's destiny, the seductiveness of evil. But while the film feels a little unfulfilled, what's on the screen is extraordinary stuff. Barker is a distinctive visualist as well as a no-holds-barred writer, working the psychological swamp of unholy fascination. His most frightening moments in this film are impossible to turn away from, transfixing the audience with its own distorted reflection in the story of false prophecies and mad power." That's a great review.
Mm-hmm. This film got a lot of good notices. Roger Ebert liked it a lot.
Wow.
I wish I could find the episode. I saw it.
Yeah.
Siskel didn't like it, but he never did like any of Clive Barker's stuff.
Femke Janssen does not know how to scream.
Yeah.
Show us.
Like the third eye, the pineal gland.
Yeah.
Yeah, that.
And that's the thing she's talking about having to look up at the sky and see something unfolding.
Oh, I found the Roger Ebert's review. Yeah, it's pretty big. We can add this one to the show notes as well. Here's what Roger Ebert liked. What I liked enough to make me recommend this movie wasn't so much the conclusion as the build-up, with D'Amour developing a curious relationship with Dorothea and Valentin and penetrating into the inner circles of black magic. So that's what he liked. Oh no, it's Chubby Rain.
He's looking at him like, you guys are so stupid.
Yeah. Suckers.
Yeah.
Very creepy Butterfield.
Mm-hmm.
About to get his just desserts.
Yeah, he's tired of Swann, though. He's like, let's go.
Finally, Swann is doing some magic here.
I know.
Yeah, no.
And it's the same magic that he did with the Origami Man scene.
Yeah.
I remember Clive giving note to the effects artist saying that, can we make that burn bubble?
Yeah. They're like, hey, wait a minute. This isn't what we signed on for.
This part, does this scene remind y'all of a story of the Skins of the Father?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes, yes.
At the end?
Excellent catch there, Rob.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I never noticed that until you mentioned it.
Well, we talked about it on the podcast when we did either Skins of the Fathers or Last Illusion.
Uh-huh.
I like the one cultist he gives him the FU, too. Like,
Yeah.
Now he's going to cook that clay.
I'm not sure.
It really makes them... it's really amazing when you see them, like, trapped in here. And there were a lot of production photos that came out in Fangoria that had, like, pictures of the cultists, like, stuck in the ground.
Mm-hmm.
Fantastic stuff.
Yeah.
Oh, I could read on the wall there. It says lucid dream time.
Oh, yeah, right.
There are still people who practice that. Lucid dreaming. There's actually a subreddit for that.
Hmm.
Like the tension in this is so cool that all three of us are kind of tongue-tied.
Watching the movie.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, I know. It's like we're supposed to be doing a commentary, not
Yeah.
watching the movie.
Yeah, that's kind of cool. He's like, hey, can I step on this?
And the lighting here, the flickering light just adds so much depth to the whole scene.
Yeah.
And you will notice that D'Amour has a crucifix.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and he genuflected when Quaid died.
Right, right. Another flashback to Hellbound Chenard walking on air.
Yeah.
Here. And that is a very, like, almost like a Pope, the cut of his jib, I guess. Because he's got that little cape over his shoulders.
I was born to murder the world.
That's a great cue in the soundtrack as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's like this almost
Yeah,
like
why.
this homoerotic relationship here when he's like, you know, he wants Swann to go into the darkness with him, you know, keep him company. He's like his best disciple.
Yeah.
That's why I say all Clive Barker stories are love stories in a weird way.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
All Hellraiser, Nightbreed, and this have all these
Yeah.
kind of love story elements at the center.
Yeah.
In this case, it's not so much a love triangle; it's more like a love square.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's got Dorothea, D'Amour, Swann, and Nix.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And by the way, once I asked Clive on Twitter about Mammalian from Damnation Game, and I asked him, was this name Mammalian like a reference to the theater director Ruben Mamoulian from like the 20s. It was like, yep, good call. So
You're good at catching a lot of what Clive Barker what's in his work.
thanks.
You really are. What was that?
His brain just exploded.
Yeah.
And even though his brain exploded, he's still alive.
Yeah.
I know, that's what I was going to say. I guess he has... His powers are still able to...
Preserve the life in his body.
Life, yeah.
Nobody really dies in Clive Barker stories, really. I mean, they always either turn into a ghost or go into a different plane of existence.
Yeah.
Although when I was reading the second book of the art, Everville, I kind of got a little upset that nobody really died. It kind of took some of the tension out of the book, especially when that guy dies and then his ghost is like looking at things and stuff.
Was that Edward Toothaker?
Yeah, Edwin, I think.
Yeah.
Well,
But I understand that for someone like Clive, he likes to create this world where
that's a very
death
good...
is just an illusion, and nothing really ever disappears. It just turns into something else.
Yeah.
Even the Scarlet Gospels. I mean, death is not permanent, even for angels.
Yeah.
I don't like that line, "Tell me where she is and I'll make them go away." It seems kind of forced. I mean, this is a small little house. It would be quicker to look for her than to try to interrogate Harry to find out where Dorothea is.
Well, sure, yeah.
True.
That looks like it was a shack at best.
Yeah.
Maybe 2 or 3 rooms in that place in the basement.
Well, it looks bigger on the outside, but the way they shot it doesn't feel very big.
Right. Like the villains are always very passive in the sense of that they're not very dynamic. Like when in Hellraiser, like Pinhead is talking to Kirsty, says, "Don't do that."
Yeah.
And it's like he could just grab the box from her.
Yeah.
This is before Hellraiser 3 when we established that, okay, the box has to be given. But in Hellraiser 1, Pinhead seems like he's just standing there and he's very restrained.
Yeah.
And the same with Nyx. It's like he feels like he's very restrained. Like maybe he doesn't move very well because he just got back from the grave.
There was a weird little editing thing in that scene that always bugs me, with that hand grabbing her. It sort of jumps.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Oh, that's creepy.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just
Right
nothing.
between the eyes.
Yeah.
I like the fact that she picked up on the Moore's gesture, like hit him in between the eyes.
Yeah.
It's good special effects.
Yay.
And then this next sequence is done in slow motion for some reason.
Mm-hmm.
I guess to kind of give it a... almost like a dream kind of quality.
Uh-huh.
And he just name-checked the short story that it's based on.
Yeah.
He says one last illusion, but it doesn't seem like that made much of an impact on him. Like getting shot between the eyes.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Like he's still got his powers. He's still moving. He's still alive.
His eyes are redder now.
Yeah, they are.
Yeah, that's right. Like, go back to the place where there's a hole and no exit. Just like in Halloween, everybody runs up the stairs instead of out the front door.
Yeah. It's a little bit of a reach to this plan to, why don't you levitate me and I'll float over there and push my hands into his face.
Especially since his brain exploded.
Yeah.
Yes.
How about if you just run over and kick him into the hole instead? And you don't rely on Swann.
Yes. There are some ideas that, it looks like they could have had more thought put into it, but
Yeah. Oh man, that is so gruesome.
I love those. Yeah, those.
Those little, they're like tendrils of rot. It's some
Yeah,
kind of
rot.
Yeah.
He says he wants to be shit. I've always wondered if they're like shit.
Yeah, maybe.
I like the special effects. It's obviously something being pumped into like these little plastic bags covered in goop.
That looks really cool.
Ugh. Well, I hope you're going to wash your hands after this.
Yeah.
And then in an interview, maybe it was the commentary, Clive was like, I wanted to make the farthest fall that you've ever seen in any movie.
He achieved that, I think.
Yeah.
It's like he's falling down into the mantle. Is going to hell, straight to hell.
Is it possible for your brain to just explode a little bit?
Yeah.
Yeah,
He's gone.
He's gone.
Yeah, I guess that's another thing that people didn't like about this movie is the character of Swann. He's definitely not very likable, but I think he adds to the horror of the movie.
Well, yeah, I always thought you have to think that at one point he was one of the cultists, so it's not like he's the best,
Super squeaky clean guy.
Yeah, right? I mean, he was supposed to have been one of the cultists at one point.
Yeah, he just uses the magic he learns to make a life for himself.
Which is probably the less efficient way of making a living if you are actually practicing magic. It's like, I'm just going to pretend like I'm a Vegas magician.
Yeah.
And at the end, in a way, he kind of got his wish. He said flesh is a trap.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Just sets us free.
Yeah, and in The Last Illusion, he made a deal with hell to. He had enough power to kill God, but he used it to do cheap tricks, and which was a big insult to hell. So, completely different plot.
I think this ending was unnecessary. I think I would have rather seen Nix die when he falls into the hole and be done with it.
This rather than this Evil Dead thing here.
Yeah, instead of this thing here was like, well, no, he's still going to get his way. He's still going to take Swann with him into,
Yeah, it's
like he's supposed to be dead. How many times is Nix going to die here?
Yeah, and Swann.
Yeah.
Well, it kind of completes, I guess, their.
Did you guys think that hole looked like an anus? And the eye in the middle of his forehead did too.
Yes, it did have a very sexual kind of feel to it. It was definitely anus. And I think Clive even comments on that in the commentary.
I think I recall something about it. And here's another flashback for some reason.
Oh, yeah. I like it, though.
Yeah, Clive does say he does like a montage. He wanted a montage of Nix haunting this, whatever the remains of this
ranch.
Ranch, yeah.
Compound.
Did you guys know that Charlie Manson's the family were squatting on a ranch that was used to film parts of Bonanza?
No, I had no idea.
No.
Yeah. It's true. Look it up.
I love this last shot. David Anderson told me he brought this. It kind of reminds me of the ending of the Beyond, the Lucio Fulci.
Fulci's?
Yeah, Fulci's. That last shot kind of reminds.
So Butterfield was played by two different actors?
Yeah.
I had no idea. I thought it was the same guy. Barry Del Sherman is the older Butterfield, I guess.
Yeah.
Wow. I just learned something.
The more you know.
Yeah.
The more you know.
There were like 6 stunt people in here.
Yeah, they didn't do a lot of. there wasn't that typical action in this film.
Yeah, there was a lot of punching and jumping out of windows and stuff.
Yeah.
So it's a weird movie. It's almost like a drama in the romance movie. It's a little bit of noir. It's a little bit of horror. Yeah, it kind of breaks through the genres a little bit.
And I think production companies always just want him to do Hellraiser again.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of like, oh yeah, do what you did with Hellraiser. Everybody loved that. And his movies are always different from each other.
Now, Clive did try to direct another film later down the line called American Horror or something like that. Was that the last film he attempted to direct? Y'all did an episode on it, I think.
Oh, yeah. Well, it's hard to know because there's a lot of stuff that he writes, and then you never know who it's going to end up directing.
Or ideas that he comes up with, sketches a brief synopsis, and then blabs about it on his website.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the Nick's makeup here was done by Steve Johnson.
Oh.
Yeah.
My brother has one of the 250 numbered busts of Nick's makeup. Yeah.
Oh, that's cool.
It came with like a little wooden base, and then you had a little white hood to put on it with like a little cord to tie it around.
Oh, cool.
It's pretty cool.
Jennifer wishes that I had never bought any music from Diamanda Galas. She hates that so much.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That woman right there?
Yeah.
Oh.
I have a lot of her albums. I even have a signed one.
Oh, wow.
She was in Portugal, and I saw some of her performances. It's pretty cool.
Did she not like the voice? Is it the voice?
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely...
Oh, wow.
You like it because it's creepy, so I guess if you don't like that sound, it's,
Yeah.
Yeah, just like I just heard someone like rustle their microphone.
Oh, yeah, I bumped the headphone jack.
Well, it's a great movie. I really love it. It's like we were discussing. It's one of Clive's best directorial efforts. Unfortunately, it's his last directorial effort as of yet. So I don't believe that we'll see Clive directing any more movies.
Yeah.
No, I don't think so either.
Yeah, it's just.
But definitely, it's a movie of its time, the mid '90s. It definitely transports me back to the mid '90s, which I think it's part of its charm, like the bright colors,
Assistant
the clothing.
Clive Barker is Rob Humphreys there.
Yeah.
I think this movie, if you look people that list best '90s horror films, this is always on there. I miss
the '90s horror movies. I miss the variety and the originality of the '90s horror movies.
Totally agree with you.
It gave us so many cool movies that if you get like a stack of like Fangorias or Cine Fantastique or whatever, just go through those magazines and look at the movies that were coming out and the stuff they were doing.
Yeah,
it's just amazing. So much work.
Yeah.
So much originality, so much craft put into those movies. And nowadays it's like, okay, well, let's write a script and get a bunch of people in the house that has like a poltergeist and, put a webcam filter over everything and then show people like 2 minutes of a kitchen with nothing going on. And then it's like, bam, oh, the door closed. Oh my God, so scary. That's not scary. That is not scary.
No.
Any trailer that has like any trailer that instead of showing you the movie, it shows the reaction of audiences to the movie. And Blumhouse Productions is very guilty of this. It's like any movie that says, hey, look at the experience that these people are having instead of showing you the story of the movie. It's like, that's not a movie. That's a ride. It's an experience. It's like something that you see in a amusement park.
That's true.
You go in there and it's going to be like a Halloween
haunt. Blumhouse Paranormal, was it Paranormal Activity? Is that Blumhouse?
Yeah. And other movies, but yeah.
Yeah, how many? There's like 4 of those, right?
5, I think. Or
5,
something.
Yeah. All these movies that are like they show you like an empty room, and then all of a sudden, like someone dressed as a nun with a white face walks in the bottom of the room there, or she, that's not scary. That's just, I don't know what that is. It's not scary to me. But yeah, go look at like old magazines from the 90s and look at what people were doing in the industry and the horror industry in particular.
Yeah.
It was just so original.
Taking
So much
chances.
crap. Yeah.
Taking chances.
Anyway, guys, thanks for
All
joining
right,
us
good.
for
This
this
was fun.
This is fun.
commentary track.
Yeah, our next one will be Hellbound.
Yeah. Can I join y'all with that too?
Yeah.
Yeah, please do. Okay, well, that was Lord of Illusions. Be sure to join us next for Hellbound. Thank you very much for listening to this.
And our next numbered episode is going to be Imagica.
Yeah, so watch out for that one.
Yeah, I look forward to listening to that.
We're going to have a special guest, Ben Warren, who contributed to our Kickstarter, was kind enough to support us. So thank you very much for your support.
And he's been waiting quite a while for us to get ready for that. So,
yeah. I'm having a good time listening to the audiobook of Imagica. It's 40 hours.
Me too.
Wow.
Yeah. I'm going to listen to some more of it right now.
Okay.
All right.
All right, guys. Bye-bye.
All right, guys.
Bye.
All right, take care.
You can find the show notes for this page and lots of Clive Barker news and features at www.clivebarkercast.com. Leave comments there or get them directly into the podcast by clicking the Send Voicemail tab on the right. Please follow us on Twitter at BarkerCast or at Occupy Midian, like us on Facebook, and join the Occupy Midian Facebook group. You can listen on the site or subscribe to the podcast on iTunes, Stitcher, Libsyn, TuneIn, Pocket Cast, Google Play, and Double Twist. Subscribe to our YouTube channel as well. Please take a couple of minutes to leave us a review on iTunes. It means the world to us and helps us spread the word about Clive Barker. The Clive Barker Podcast, or BarkerCast, is an independent editorial fan site and podcast that is not affiliated with or under contract by Clive Barker or Seraphim Films. This is a labor of love by the fans for the fans.
Thanks for listening.